Well, I'm going to go ahead and start with the intro. Thank you for joining this webinar. My name is Gina Buchholz. I'm one of the advisors at 401k Plan Professionals. And along with my colleagues, Jenna, Kristen, Jessica, Virginia, and myself, we would just want to thank you for joining us for another webinar, which is part of our webinar series. We actually have over 12 webinars scheduled this year in 2023, so almost one every month. This webinar, like most of our webinars, are pretty short and sweet. This will be less than 30 minutes or right about 30 minutes. We do record all of these webinars. You'll be receiving a recorded link that you're welcome to share. And please check out our website at 401k Plan Professionals. You can find this webinar and any of our past webinars out there for review, distribution, a whole host of information available to you at that website. So let's just start. This, of course, is a webinar about how we can creatively design your 401k plan to increase participation. And we'll just kind of make this a little fun and interactive. The first question is a little bit ambiguous, but why does your company offer a 401k plan? We'll do a little bit of a poll here. Is it to attract and retain employees, help employees accumulate retirement savings, improve financial health and well-being, or just to stay competitive with your peers? And my guess is it's probably a little bit of everything. But if there's one reason there that maybe stands out more than others, please go ahead and mark it, and we'll see what we come up with. I'll give everyone just a couple of minutes to do that, and then I'll show the results. All right. Okay. And we'll share the results there. Interesting. So kind of evenly split. I guess that's probably what I expect. So, okay, thank you for that. That's just kind of a good intro there. It's interesting because 401k plans are definitely a valued benefit. They've become more and more valued by your employees. And in fact, a recent study by Fidelity actually ranked retirement plans a little bit above even health insurance, which is a little shocking. But obviously, retirement plan and health insurance, two of the most important benefits that you can offer to your employees. And, I think one of the reasons for that is, I think back to generations previous to us. My grandfather had a pension. He never had to save it all for his retirement. He had his pension and his Social Security, and that gave him and my grandmother enough income every month to live off of, and they never ran out of it. But of course, today we have to shoulder that responsibility. There are a number of young employees. I think the recent study was 3 out of 4 millennials actually believe there will not be any Social Security benefits for them. So obviously that causes a concern. And older Americans are concerned about their health and rising healthcare costs in retirement. And obviously, outliving their money. We're now seeing people live into their 80s and 90s. And you have to be able to financially sustain yourself. So those are some of the concerns. And I think those are some of the reasons why the 401k has become such a valued benefit. And of course, employers can use it to attract and retain talent, especially in a very tight labor market like we've seen the last couple of years. So one thing I just want to mention briefly is you can have the best plan design, the most generous 401k plan, but if your employees don't know about it, and if they don't understand it and appreciate it and take advantage of it, it doesn't mean anything. So remember to lean on us. If we're your advisor, please lean on us. We love doing education, one-on-one meetings. We love to do these webinars. Our next couple of webinars are actually participant directed. But use us to help promote that 401k benefit to your staff and make sure that they're taking advantage of it. We can also help them make sure that they're on track to retire. We do a lot of customized education. You may have seen some of these. I can always send these to you if you're interested. And we can also customize education specific for your 401k plan. So these are just some examples of our clients and some of the educational flyers that we've used to really promote the benefit. Okay, one more poll question. So think about your employee demographic, and what would you say is the primary financial stressor for your employee demographic? Is it lack of emergency savings, paying off student loan or other debts, lack of financial literacy, or trying to purchase or avoid foreclosure on their home? So let me launch this one. Okay, let's see. Hold on here. Let me launch the next one. Oops. Okay. Well, I might not be able to launch the next one. Hold on. Yes, I can. Sorry about that. Okay, so go ahead and mark what you feel, you know, is the biggest stressor for your employees. Okay, awesome. So here's the results. Again, you know, pretty much what I would expect, lack of emergency savings. We're going to talk about that, and paying off student loan and other debts. So absolutely makes sense. Thank you for participating in that. So we'll talk a little bit about Secure 2.0, which in Secure 2.0, which was passed in December 29th, 2022, there were a number of provisions that addressed emergency savings and student loan debt. So we'll talk a little bit about that and how you might want to incorporate that into your plan design. Also, speaking of Secure 2.0, they did pass a requirement that all new 401k plans established after the enactment, again in December of 2022, they have to have an auto enrollment feature and an auto escalation feature. So again, if you've had a 401k plan in place before December 2022, this is not a requirement, but I think it says a lot about the effectiveness of automatic enrollment and escalation, and that Congress really supports it. They know it's effective and it works. So, we do recommend it, for most of our clients, this works fantastic. But we usually recommend you want to set that auto enrollment rate at a reasonable but meaningful savings rate. So, typically 3% is a good starting place. 3% feels like something most Americans can afford. And then couple that with the auto escalation. So again, a recent study by Vanguard said plans that automatic enroll, they have over a 91 participation rate. An unscientific study of our clients, I would say that's spot on. We typically see high 80s into the 90 participation rate when we automatically enroll people. So it works. But of course, you want to set it at something that's reasonable, and that kind of depends on your employee demographic. But again, I think it's very effective to couple that with the auto escalation. So automatically increase it by 1% every year, maybe on January 1st, because that's when they get a pay rate or a pay rate increase. So you can align that with, an appropriate time of the year. But I think 1% auto increases is very effective. Most people don't miss it. A lot of people won't even know it happened. So again, it's inertia. We just hoping people do the right thing. One thing I'll say too, we have a lot of clients that do the auto enrollment. Maybe you're at 3%, and that's great. The downside of that, though, is we see those employees staying at a 3% savings rate forever. And if they save just 3% for retirement, that's probably not going to get them to where they need to be. So we don't want to give them this false impression that, hey, save at 3%, you're going to be okay for retirement. That's why I like adding the auto escalation feature to get them to a point where they're saving between 10 and 15% towards retirement, but taking baby steps to do it. So again, very effective plan design. I know many of you probably already offer that, or maybe are considering offering that. So a couple other plan design ideas, and these are especially trends that we have seen as of late, in a tight labor market where, employers are realizing, hey, my 401k, prospective employees are asking about it. So how can we make it better? We're seeing a trend where we're shortening eligibility requirements and vesting requirements. So definitely been a trend where, hey, you only have to work 30 days or 60 days to become eligible for our 401k. A lot of our clients are aligning that with their health benefits. That's easy. I think that makes it very administratively easy for you. So if your employees are eligible after 30 days for your health benefits, why not let them be eligible for the 401k at the same time? So that makes a lot of sense. Again, administratively easy. I also like the short eligibility because we know people change jobs, right? And I think there's a statistic that people will change jobs 11 times in their working careers. So if they have a 401k from another employer, it's nice that they can become eligible right away. They can roll over that 401k right away as well. Vesting requirements, again, we're seeing a lot of trends where vesting is actually completely done away with. Any employer matching or profit sharing contributions are made immediately vested. If not, maybe you're just shortening that vesting schedule. Instead of 5 years to becoming fully vested, maybe we're just going to be 3 years until you become fully vested. So those are just some ideas on eligibility and vesting. Again, we can help guide those conversations with you and your investment committee, but those are just some ideas there. I also love the idea of stretching the match. So a lot of employers have a certain budget for the employer, for that 401k match. And let's say you're thinking about doing a match of 100% up to 4. You could consider doing 50% up to 8%. So that's the same dollars, right? But getting people to a 4% savings rate, they're getting a 4% or 8% savings rate to get that 4% match. Now you have them saving 12% in retirement. So those are some creative considerations too. Or some of our clients just say, you know what, we want to give more match. Well, let's encourage, your employees to step up to get more match. So, I like those ideas too. Again, just kind of some creative ideas to get people to increase their contribution without really giving up more match. So we can always talk you through some of those ideas too. Also want to talk a little bit about safe harbor arrangements. A number of our clients, particularly smaller employers, have a safe harbor arrangement. And what this simply is the Department of Labor said, you know what, if you give your employees a certain level of match or contribution, and you make that 100% vested, we will exempt you from discrimination and top-heavy testing, which can be a big headache, especially for owners and executives and their higher paid employees who might be getting refunds back because you're failing discrimination testing. So the great thing about the safe harbor arrangement is if you do this and you give that safe harbor contribution, the owners know, or the highly paid employees know, that they can contribute up to the IRS maximum. And we know those limits are really high. So for this year, you can contribute $22,500. If you're over 50, you can contribute $30,000. And a lot of owners, business owners, highly paid employees, they want to do that. They want to hit that IRS limit. And by having that safe harbor arrangement, they know they can do that. So that's a great arrangement to consider. I know you have to weigh the costs of this. And again, the basic safe harbor arrangements are giving a match of generally 4%. So the basic match design is 100% up to 3%. Plus 50% on the next 2. So that means if your employee gives 5, they get a 4% match. You can do 100% up to 4, but basically it's got to be at least a 4% match. There's different iterations of that. Again, it has to be fully vested. Another consideration is you can just give a 3% contribution to everyone. So whether they contribute or not, they're going to get a 3% contribution, 3% of their pay into their 401k, and that would be fully vested. So that's not a match. That has to go to everybody. So you can kind of decide, what makes the most sense. Again, there's some other versions of safe harbor. There's one called a QACA that allows you to add a short vesting schedule, but you might have to give a little higher matching contribution. So those are some arrangements, been around a long time. Some of our clients, like I said, are using it or just considering it. So again, reach out to us if we can talk about that. There's also some creative ways to put a profit sharing contribution into your 401k. So many of our clients, whether they know it or not, probably have a discretionary profit sharing contribution allowed in their plan document. So this means you get to the end of the year, maybe you made a match, maybe you didn't, but you get to the end of the year and you're like, gosh, it's been a great year. I want to reward my employees for such a great year. We're going to give a profit sharing contribution. And some of those profit sharing contributions, it's very simple. Maybe the document is written where you have to give an even percent to everyone. So you're going to give a 5% profit sharing contribution to everyone. It's equal, it's not discriminatory, and it's simple for people to understand. But sometimes our clients say, you know what, we have, we kind of want to favor this profit sharing contribution to maybe certain groups, or maybe to the older employees. So there's what's called a new comparability profit sharing formula. And what that does is it allows you to have different groups of employees. So maybe we have our production staff, our support staff, and our executive staff. And I can give each of those groups a different profit sharing contribution, as long as it passes discrimination. So you can get kind of creative with this. And it's kind of interesting. We do have some clients that do it very successfully. So that's one thing you can be very creative with. There's also what's called an age-weighted allocation formula. So this age-weighted formula, it really favors people who are older and closer to retirement and probably make a little bit more money. So you can give your profit sharing, you can give a higher contribution to somebody who's 60 and makes more money, as opposed to somebody who's 25 years old, because that 25-year-old, they have more money for that. They have more time for that profit sharing contribution to grow and compound. The 60-year-old doesn't. So that's kind of an interesting formula too. And like I said, that works well for some of our clients. And then the last profit sharing formula that I'll explain is one that's integrated with Social Security. So what this simply means, the premise is that you pay Social Security tax up to a certain compensation limit. So theoretically, people who make over that compensation limit, they don't get a Social Security benefit. So you can actually skew that profit sharing formula to those higher paid people who make above the Social Security wage base. So again, kind of a creative way to switch that profit sharing formula to give certain people, certain groups more money while still passing discrimination testing. We usually do use a third-party administrator, for these profit sharing formulas, just because they can be a little bit complex. But again, it's a conversation with your 401k committee and us as the advisor to kind of talk through what plan design might make the most sense. And then, of course, you could actually set up a completely new plan. There are plans beyond the 401k called non-qualified or deferred compensation plans. These are kind of interesting animals, but they can be very effective. They're what we call non-qualified plans, and they're not subject to ERISA rules. So the positive of that is you can be discriminatory. You can say this deferred compensation plan is just going to be for my key executives. That's it. We can choose to give a match if we want, but we don't have to. And again, it's only for those key executives that we list in the document. However, because it is not a qualified plan and not subject to ERISA, you don't get the same tax benefits. The employer does not, the contributions are not deductible to the employer. And the employee, it will eventually be taxable to the employee, but the employee can defer that money. That's why it's called the deferred compensation plan. They can defer that money and not pay the taxes until they get to retirement. And then they can take out a stream of income that way. So that is, again, the deferred compensation plans. If you're in a situation where your employees are, maybe your executives are not able to max out in the 401k, or they're not able to get a full matching contribution, this is a great solution. And again, we can take your employee census and kind of run the numbers and see if that would make sense for you. So again, that is a separate plan beyond the 401k. Right. So last couple of things. Let's talk a little bit about Secure 2.0. I hope you guys aren't sick of hearing about 2.0. We still have a lot of guidance that we're waiting for from Congress, but a couple of things I want to mention and some possible plan design options that are now permitted through Secure 2.0. The first thing I want to mention is the catch-up contributions. We all know that 401k plans allow a higher contribution limit for people who are 50 or older. But effective in 2024, if you have employees who make over $145,000 in 2023, in 2024, that individual, again, over 50, makes over $145,000 a year, their catch-up contribution must be deposited as Roth after tax. So we are waiting for a little bit more guidance from Congress. This is going to weigh heavily on your payroll vendor and your payroll provider, because we're going to hope that they're ready to support this new required feature that will force those certain people to put their catch-up. It needs to be taxed, and then it needs to be deposited in their 401k as Roth. So more to follow on that. But again, I just want to remind you that that is coming in 2024. Also effective in 2025, Congress will allow a higher catch-up contribution for those employees age 60 to 63. So this is going beyond the catch-up. It's kind of the catch-up contribution on steroids. And that catch-up will look like this. Let's say the catch-up contribution in 2025 is $10,000. If you are between 60 and 65, you can contribute 150% of that limit, or $15,000. That's just an example. I don't know what the exact limits will be because we don't know what the catch-up will be in 2025. But suffice it to say that that certain demographic in their early 60s and some of their final working years before retirement, they're going to be able to put even a higher catch-up contribution. So you'll have your catch-up contribution for those over 50, and then you're going to have a higher catch-up limit for those between 60 and 63. And again, it's still, if they make over that dollar limit, it is still going to have to be deposited as Roth. But again, higher limit, more money in their 401k just before they get to their retirement years. So that's all good. A couple of things. I know when I asked that poll question, it was a very targeted poll question about what are some of the biggest stressors that you see from your employees. Emergency savings is a big issue. A lot of Americans do not have an emergency savings account. If they do, that emergency savings has been dwindled since the pandemic. We know the average American now holds less than 1 month of expenses in an emergency savings account. That is not enough. We generally recommend 3 to 6 months of living expenses in a savings account, but the reality is a lot of Americans do not have that. So effective in 2024, employers can allow distributions for emergency expenses up to $1,000. This is simple. It won't be subject to the early withdrawal penalty, which is very nice. And there are some restrictions. We obviously don't want people to use their 401k as a bank account, as a savings account. That's not what it's for. It's for their retirement. But let's say they had that unexpected expense of $400 to fix their car so they can get to work, and they've just depleted their savings. This would allow them, to go directly to their 401k. They can bypass you as the plan administrator and take that money out to cover that unexpected expense. Again, the restriction is they can only take one distribution per 3 years unless it's been repaid or replenished. So, it's not like they can dip into this all the time, but it might help some people in those certain situations. And we do get a lot of calls, people needing money out of their 401k. The other option is actually a way that you can help them build up an emergency savings account in their 401k. Again, this will be effective in 2024. You can choose to opt your employees into it if you want. You don't have to. They can do it electively, or you can do an auto enroll into these pension-linked savings accounts. You could set it up so they contribute 3% to the savings account. Again, it's tied to the 401k, and they can contribute up to $2,500. So again, you can let them do it voluntarily, or you can opt them in, but the maximum they can put into that little savings bucket within their 401k is $2,500. It's contributed on a Roth basis, so it's already been taxed, and it'll be invested in a conservative investment option. So think of like your money market or your stable value account. That's what it's going to be invested in. We don't want it to be subject to market risk. And they can go in and withdraw that money for unexpected emergency expenses whenever they want. Again, they can bypass you as the plan sponsor, go directly to their 401k. The first 4 withdrawals cannot even be subject to fees. So your 401k provider cannot tack on a $50 fee or a $100 fee. They have to be allowed to take that money out, at least up to 4 withdrawals. No fees apply. So, and because it's Roth, they've already paid taxes on it. So, so kind of nice, again, kind of helping them actually create that savings account. So I like that. I think we're going to hear more about that. And again, some of these provisions, we are waiting for additional guidance. But think about that. If you are, a plan administrator and know that some of your employees really struggle, having an emergency savings might be a great solution. One of the other designs or provisions in Secure 2.0 is addressing student loan debt. And this is just acknowledging that a lot of young people, or even maybe not so young people, but anyone with that burden of student loan debt, obviously that's a priority to them. And many people paying off their student loan debt do not have the extra discretionary income to contribute to their 401k. So what this allows, and again, this is also effective in 2024, it allows the employer to match their loan payments. So let me give you an example of how that works. Let's say I have a student loan. I'm paying $500 every month to pay off my student loan. I have absolutely no extra money to put in my 401k. My employer, I know, gives a 4% match. I would sure like that match. I get to the end of the year. I talked to my employer and I said, hey, here's my student loan. I contributed 4% or more of my pay towards my student loan debt. Put that 4% match in my 401k account for me. That's how it works. I think it will work on an annualized basis where you just deposit that on an annualized basis up to your matching contribution formula. The plan is not subject to discrimination tests because of that. And the idea is you're helping them build a little bit of a 401k account. And when they finish paying off that student loan debt, they can take that $500 a month or whatever they were doing and direct that into their 401k. But you've already kick-started their retirement savings for them. So I think that is, just kind of one creative way to help your employee demographic, tackle the student loan debt, but more importantly, at the same time, not delay their retirement savings. Okay, so since we've gone through the Secure 2.0 provisions, again, some that address emergency savings, the pension-linked savings account, student loan matching, and then, of course, there's higher catch-up contributions for those 60 to 63. So let's do one more poll question. Let's see, let me launch that one. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay, there we go. Great. All right, great. Okay, let me share those results. So yeah, emergency savings, that is a big one. I think some of those ideas I've talked through with a few plan sponsors, and I think that definitely resonates with many of our clients. So more to follow, more guidance on that, but I definitely foresee that as being a helpful provision. So that concludes our presentation today. Just a couple other things I want to mention. Again, this will be recorded. It'll be out on our website. You'll also get a recorded link if you've registered for this particular webinar. But we do have some really fun webinars coming up. And again, the next 3 are actually more participant directed. So as you get the emails from us, please feel free to pass those along to your staff. In September, Jenna's going to host the 8 Steps to Financial Wellness. In October, we're going to do one on cybersecurity, really helpful information for you and your plan participants to protect their data. And then in November, we're kind of doing a new one. It's on estate planning, but it's very basic. It's something that every person should do. So kind of anticipating the unexpected. So those next 3, I think, are going to be really fun. And again, I think your participants and employees will appreciate those. There's our website again. And of course, we do have a YouTube channel too. So if you're more of a YouTuber, just search for 401k Plan Professionals. Again, a lot of information out there. There's my contact information and phone number. Anything we discussed, please feel free to reach out. A lot of these things we're talking to our clients in their investment committee meetings. But if there's anyone you have particular questions on, please just reach out to me. Any one of us can have a conversation with you and just, talk about your plan design and see what we can do to make it a little bit better for you. Again, couple fun webinars coming up, and I will pause momentarily here just to see if there's any questions. Okay. Well, thank you again for joining us this morning. I hope you found some valuable, interesting information and appreciate your attendance. Have a fantastic day and enjoy the rest of your summer.